You call, they're busy. You text, they leave you on read. And the worst part? You don't even know what you did wrong. If your adult child seems to be slowly pulling away, showing up less, sharing less, connecting less, you are not alone, and you are not a bad parent. According to research in family psychology, this is one of the most common and most painful dynamics in modern parent and adult-child relationships. Today, we're going to look at 4 psychology-backed reasons this happens, and more importantly, what you can actually do about it. Stay with us. Number 4 might surprise you the most. Here's something many parents don't realize. When you ask, "Did you eat? Are you saving money? Have you called the doctor yet?" You mean it with love, completely. But to your adult child, those questions can land very differently. Psychologists call this parental over-monitoring. And research published in the Journal of Child and Family Studies shows it's one of the leading reasons adult children emotionally distance themselves from parents. Not because they don't love you, but because every check-in question carries an unspoken message. I'm not sure you can handle your own life. You spent more than 20 years making decisions for them. That habit doesn't disappear overnight, and neither does their nervous system's memory of it. But here's the shift that changes everything. Move from being their manager to being their mentor. A manager tells, a mentor listens, and only speaks when asked. Try this. Next time you feel the urge to ask, "Did you do X?" Pause. Replace it with, "What's been on your mind lately?" Then, just listen. You'll be amazed how much more they open up when the pressure is gone. Have you ever said, even gently, something like, "I gave up so much to raise you," or "Everything I did for you"? These words come from a place of genuine love and real truth. But here's what family therapists consistently observe on the receiving end. When adult children repeatedly hear about parental sacrifice, they develop what therapists call chronic guilt load, a persistent, low-grade feeling that they owe you something they can never fully repay. And when someone feels perpetually indebted to you, the natural human response is to avoid the creditor. This is one of the saddest paradoxes in family psychology. The deeper the sacrifice, the heavier the invisible weight placed on the child. It's not that your sacrifices weren't real, they absolutely were. But ask yourself honestly, who are you telling them for? If the answer is to be seen, to be valued, to be appreciated, that is a completely human need. But there are healthier places to meet that need. A close friend, a therapist, a journal. When you release the ledger, your relationship stops being a transaction, and your child can finally come to you freely, not out of obligation, but out of love. Loneliness in later life is real, and it's heavy. When you're going through something hard, a health scare, a difficult marriage, financial pressure, it makes complete sense to reach out to the person closest to you. Most often, that's your adult child. But here's what family therapists consistently observe. When a parent regularly shares heavy emotional burdens with their child, chronic anxiety, unresolved grief, or ongoing frustration with a spouse, the child begins to experience something called emotional parentification. They feel responsible for your emotional well-being, and that role is exhausting, especially when they're already carrying their own weight. According to the American Psychological Association, adults aged 18 to 40 consistently report some of the highest stress levels of any age group. Career pressure, relationship challenges, financial anxiety. Adding a parent's emotional weight on top of all of that can make them feel like they're being slowly crushed. This doesn't mean you can't share your feelings. You absolutely can. The key is balance and reciprocity. Before your next call, ask yourself, am I reaching out to connect or to unload? If you need consistent emotional support, a therapist a peer support group, or a trusted friend your own age is the sustainable answer. Not because your child doesn't care, but because they love you so much, they'll carry that weight until it breaks them. This is the one most parents don't see coming. When your adult child is the only real source of meaning in your daily life, when your happiness depends entirely on whether they call, whether they visit, whether they need you, it places a very specific kind of pressure on them. Psychologists call this enmeshment. It's far more common than most people realize, especially in the years after retirement, when other roles, career, active parenting, community, have quietly faded away. Your child can feel this dependency, even when you never say it out loud, and it creates a painful bind. They want to live their own life, but every step away feels like they're abandoning you. So they do the only thing that makes psychological sense. They create distance, not because they've stopped loving you, but because they desperately need room to breathe. Here's what attachment research consistently tells us. Children of all ages, including adult ones, feel most free to come close when they know you are okay without them. The most profound gift you can give your adult child right now is not a phone call. It's not a visit. It's not a gift. It's watching you build a life that genuinely satisfies you. Hobbies, friendships, purpose, a sense of self that exists completely outside of your role as their parent. When they see that, when they truly believe you're okay, they stop running and they start coming back. Here's the truth that family psychologists return to again and again. Our job as parents was never to keep them, it was to prepare them to leave. Think of it this way: your child was always meant to check out of your home. The real question is, what kind of person are you becoming now that they've gone? When you shift from being their caretaker to being someone they genuinely want in their life, an interesting person, a grounded presence, someone with their own story still being written, the whole dynamic changes. They come back, not out of obligation, but out of genuine choice. 2 things you can start this week. First, have an honest, low-pressure conversation about how you stay in touch. Something like, "Hey, I've been thinking, what kind of contact actually works best for you right now?" Let them set the rhythm. Weekly texts, monthly video calls, whatever works for both of you. The simple act of asking already communicates, "I respect you as an adult." Second, invest in something that is entirely yours. A class, a cause, a creative project, a friendship you've been neglecting, not as a distraction from missing them, but as a genuine reclamation of you, the person you were before you became someone's parent. That person never went away. You've given so much. Now it's time to give something to yourself. And in doing so, give your child the greatest gift of all, the freedom to love you without guilt. If this video resonated with you, please share it with another parent who might need to hear this today. And in the comments, we'd love to know, which of these 4 patterns felt closest to home for you? The more honestly we talk about this, the more we all heal. Thank you for being here.